Ferrari fans have a lot to be excited about after the team's impressive performance in the 2024 preseason testing. The team's statements are full of optimism and confidence, as they claim to have solved some of the major issues that plagued their previous car, the SF24. However, with their drivers' lineup changing from 2025 onwards, there could be some challenges in optimizing the car and finding the sweet spot without Sainz's help, something he publicly admitted to not committing to in the upcoming campaign. But will all of the car's changes be enough for Leclerc to catch up with Verstappen? And can we see Ferrari fight for race wins more frequently, like they started back in 2022? It's obvious that Ferrari had a lot of problems to solve with the SF24, but one of the biggest and most cruel ones was the tire degradation over the course of the race. During qualifying, we'd see Ferrari close to Red Bull, and on a couple of occasions, Leclerc would snatch the pole position from Verstappen. But come race time, the SF24's performance would melt in with the rest of the grid, and it would show zero of the potential it had just one day before. According to Vasseur, this has been addressed quite well with the new car, and it's on a new planet when it comes to managing tires. Elaborating on this matter even further, Vasseur went on to say, with the consistency in the race pace, the degradation that we had yesterday for the longest stint was on another planet compared to last year. At least on this, we've made a step. But now, it's not just a matter of being consistent, but fast. We know that we always have to pay attention to the conclusions after the test. If you take the classification from last year, day 2 or day 3, I think it has nothing to do with the classification of the Saturday of the race weekend. The most important thing is to trust the guys, because their feedback was positive, and we have seen a lot of development for sure. Although Vasseur has high hopes that his team has done enough to catch Red Bull, he still recognizes that the ball is in their court, and the Austrian team is one step ahead of them, judging by what they saw in their rival's new design. But having taken a risk with a Mercedes-like concept, Red Bull could be vulnerable if they don't deliver the pace and performance they originally hoped for, which would put Ferrari as one of the favorites to win it all. Because right now, they're dubbed to be the team following the Austrian squad right behind. The entire rebranding of the chassis and the termination of the structural flaws and limitations have helped the team in constructing a car that could be more friendly not only to the airflow, but also to the future upgrades coming to the specs of the car. Ferrari has tried to implement lots of upgrades in the 2022 and 2023 seasons, but due to the nature of the chassis and the floor, they were unable to extract maximum potential out of them, which is definitely not going to be the case in 2024. It's worth mentioning that Ferrari topped the timesheets in the second and third days of the practice sessions, with both Leclerc and Sainz setting the fastest times. And while these do mean little to nothing, considering the fact that Verstappen didn't even complete a run on the softest compound of tires, and though not every team was chasing lap times due to the preseason testing days, it still shows that Ferrari has made some significant progress and is ready to challenge for the top spots in 2024. While most of the teams were collecting data by driving at a constant speed of 200 km/h to see if the results they got in the simulator would replicate here on track, Ferrari was busy setting some impressive lap times and showing some promising signs of improvement. If we are to compare the results that Ferrari had during the 2023 preseason testing, they are the third most improved team, with 1.13 seconds of performance, right behind McLaren, which gained 1.13 seconds, and Williams, with an impressive 1.5 seconds of improvement. Leclerc knows that the challenge will be on his shoulders in order to deliver the best possible results, as he was quite adamant that the car feels healthier and is a lot different from what we had to drive in the 2023 season. Furthermore, Leclerc went on to say that the car is reacting the way that we wanted it to, which means that everything that they've been working on in the past winter won't go in vain. There's still a lot of hiding in terms of performance, and not all aces are shown from the teams. This is being saved for the first racing weekend in Bahrain, where we'll see one of Ferrari's fiercest competitors, Mercedes, show the real pace of their car when it's pushed to its absolute limit. But if we are to judge by the overall performance of the teams in Bahrain, in the 3 days of testing, Ferrari seems to have the upper hand compared to Mercedes, McLaren, and Aston Martin, the three teams that were threatening to put Ferrari a bit back in the pecking order. And on top of that, they fixed an issue with which they're going to be a lot more competitive during the races and not only show up on Saturday and lose all the positions on Sunday due to tire degradation. Furthermore, if you're looking at the performance of individual drivers, you can see that it will very likely be Ferrari versus Verstappen, as it was in 2023, because on the same compound tires, Perez was not able to outperform the SF24. Again, these results do not exactly show who is the fastest team, but judging by the fact that Verstappen ran some qualifying low fuel laps, just like Perez, it's safe to say that the Mexican driver might not feel as confident as he would prefer compared to his teammate. He was around 0.4 seconds slower than Leclerc in the third day of testing, but his time was set on the C3 compound tire, while Leclerc had the C4 compound tire mounted on his car. On the other hand, you have a departing driver in Carlos Sainz, who stated many times throughout the last season that he doesn't want to enter a campaign without knowing where he'll drive in the next one. And that is exactly what has happened for the 2024 season as well. This is a very tricky situation because the team has clearly prioritized one driver over the other, and it has definitely put the sole race winner outside of the Red Bull duo in 2023 in the worst possible situation for his liking. According to Ferrari, they were unable to present both of their drivers with mid-season contracts, like Mercedes did, due to the competitiveness between them in the championship. And when the season ended, it was obvious in which direction the Maranello team moved. Carlos Sainz, the outgoing Ferrari driver, spoke to the renowned media Marca and revealed his thoughts on his situation. Well, first I'd like to sort out my future, to be clear where I'm going to go, where I'm going to race, and what's coming next. And then, for the rest of the year, the approach changes a little bit, because it's true that I already know that this year is the only thing left for me. I have to focus on each race. Obviously, they're not going to count on me much to develop the car, and that allows me to focus solely and exclusively on getting the most out of the SF24 and myself, to give Ferrari and myself the best possible farewell. One thing is for sure, team orders are going to be thrown away from the window from Sainz's side, just like they're going to be from Hamilton's side at Mercedes. And this would inevitably cause some unpleasant moments if the team finds itself in a situation where it needs to prioritize the pace of one driver over the other. And the direction in which Ferrari moved with their contractual situation translates into the direction in which they moved with the development of the car. It's more of what the driver prefers in terms of steering stability and downforce requirements. Sainz will also not be present in the majority of the meetings that would take place at Ferrari regarding the 2025 and 2026 development of the car. And when it comes to the 2025 season meetings, this could be a massive handicap because they would definitely need a lot of his knowledge to sort things out, considering the fact that the 2025 regulations won't be that big of a change compared to the 2024 ones. This would all be something Ferrari would need to address sooner rather than later, because if an interesting and unique situation arises and they're able to challenge Red Bull for race wins more frequently in 2024, the last thing that they would need is to have a rift between both of the drivers and to not utilize the tactics due to a potential bad blood situation. Ferrari's reliability seems very decent, the improvements are there, and it seems like they've made a huge leap compared to the previous season. The only question is whether this would be enough for them to actually catch up to Red Bull and challenge them on a more frequent manner, considering the fact that Verstappen is driving in his own world and has recently admitted that the RB20 does everything he wants it to do. Not to take anything from Leclerc or Sainz, but they haven't really shown that they have what it takes to fight with a driver of Verstappen's caliber. So this will also be a huge challenge, especially for Leclerc, because he will have a 7-time world champion partnering with him from 2025 onwards, and it definitely won't be for supporting his cause and building Ferrari around Leclerc. The ultimate goal for Hamilton is to win the 8th championship with the Maranello team, as he judged that it's quite impossible to do that with Mercedes, due to the development path that they took. So will Leclerc actually withstand this pressure in 2025? And more importantly, will he utilize the maximum out of the SF24 in the upcoming season? and show that he will be the driver to beat in Ferrari and not the other way around? Let us know in the comments below.